Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday Message. We are coming up on the fourth Sunday of Lent, and the gospel story for this Sunday is one of my favorite gospel passages. It is the parable of the Prodigal Son, one of my favorite parables. It's in the 15th chapter of the Gospel of Luke. And Jesus tells the parable of the prodigal son after some of the scribes and Pharisees complain that the tax collectors are coming near to listen to Jesus. The tax collectors and the sinners are drawn to Jesus. And some of the scribes and Pharisees have concern about this. And so Jesus tells this marvelous, marvelous parable about a father who has two sons. And the younger son comes to his father and says, "Father, give me the share of the inheritance that I have coming to me." And so the father gives his younger son the share, and the son goes off and squanders the inheritance on dissolute living. And it happens that a famine breaks out in that country, and the son, who's now squandered his inheritance, is in need. And so he needs to go and to be hired by a local farmer to do something as degrading as feeding the pigs. Imagine for a young Jewish boy to have to survive by feeding the pigs. And there's a marvelous line in there about he longed to fill his belly with the husks that were fodder for the pigs, but none of those pigs made a move to give him anything. And then finally, he comes to his senses, the parable tells us. And he says, "How many of my father's hired hands have more than enough to eat? And yet here I am starving. I know what I'll do. I'll go to my father and I say, I've sinned against God and I've sinned against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands." And he sets off. Having come to his senses, he sets off. And the gospel tells us that while his prodigal son was still far off, the father sees him. I imagine that father went out every day and scanned those hillsides, hoping and praying and longing that his son would come to his senses and return to him. And when it happens, he sees him long way off, and he runs out, and he embraces him, and he kisses him. And the son says, "Father, I've sinned against God and I've sinned against you." And it's as if the father doesn't even want to hear it. He says, "Quick, bring out a ring and put it on his finger." That's the symbol of the son being restored as a son, to have that ring, that symbol. Put sandals on his feet and kill the fatted calf, for we have to celebrate because this son of mine was lost and now he's been found. He was dead and now he's alive again. The father just wants to celebrate the return of his prodigal son. And then there's the elder son coming in from the fields, having worked all day. And he asks one of the servants, "What's going on?" when he hears this music and dancing. And the servant says, your brother has returned, and your father has killed the fatted calf for him." And the elder son refuses to go in. And the father comes out, and the elder son says, all these years I've worked for you, and I haven't asked for anything. And this son of yours goes off and squanders your money, and you welcome him back with open arms. And the father says to the elder son, "Son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and rejoice because your brother was lost and now he's found. He was dead and he's been given his life back. Powerful story of compassion and forgiveness. The father's ability to forgive that son who essentially said to him, I'd rather have your money than you. The father to forgive that kind of offense against him and to welcome him back as a son and to celebrate his return. That was probably not the first time that the father had ever forgiven. The father had probably made forgiveness a spiritual practice that he engaged in over and over again. And so he was good at it. He practiced forgiveness in the little things, in the little offenses, the little hurts that happen throughout the course of our days. And so when the big offense came along, he had the spiritual muscle that he was able to forgive. He was able to forgive that profound act that this younger son had committed. Forgiving the little things along the way helps us to build the spiritual muscle that we need so that when the big things come along, we're able to forgive those things as well. Henry Nouwen wrote a marvelous book, and I am going to commend it to you. It is entitled The Return of the Prodigal Son, a meditation on fathers, brothers, and sons. It is a series of reflections that Henry Nouwen wrote as he reflected on Rembrandt's painting of the return of the prodigal son. This is a marvelous, marvelous book, reflecting on that parable, reflecting on Rembrandt's beautiful work of art, and hearing some of Henry Nouwen's own insights about relationships between fathers and brothers and sons. And so I commend this to you for your reflection. A few announcements about what's coming up. This, of course, is our parish retreat weekend with Bishop Brian Pryor. Bishop Brian will be preaching on the gospel story of the prodigal son at all of the services this weekend, and you're not going to want to miss that. Coming up on Wednesday, we have the World Day of Prayer. We will be having a service here at St. Michael's at 10:30 a.m. for the World Day of Prayer. 5 local faith communities will be joining together for the World Day of Prayer service, and refreshments will follow. That's 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, we will be having a Lent forum on Zoom. Bishop Brian will be with us to talk about signs of hope that he sees as he travels around the church and engages in various ministries. I've asked Brian to reflect a little bit on signs of hope that he sees in the church. And he's also going to give us a little bit of a preview of the upcoming General Convention this summer in Baltimore. So that is Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. It is on Zoom, and you can find the link for that in the Friday brief. And very importantly, you probably know that we are launching the Messy Church program. It's a different way of church for families and kids ages 0 to 100. So it is for everybody. It involves food and faith and fun. It is the second Sunday of each month from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we really want to get the word out about Messy Church. And so we have these wonderful brochures and flyers available that you can have to take with you to give to people that you think might be interested, or to put up in places where people might see them. The first session is happening on Sunday, April 10th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the theme is Easter, and we really want to get the word out about Messy Church. So I invite you to do that. Also, we're going to need volunteers for leading an activity, helping in the kitchen, lots of room for volunteers to be involved. And if you are interested in helping out, please contact Sue Van Oss and let her know. I am very excited about Messy Church that is coming up, and invite you to consider being a part of it. Be safe and well, and God bless you.